this seated in a chair also. If you'd like, you could also have a belt nearby, just to stretch through again through the sides before we come to sit, also to help lift and expand the chest. And then we're going to do a variation of Setu-Bandha Sarvangasana bridge pose before we come to sitting. So I'm just gonna put the belt for right now over my shoulder, just so I have it nearby. You can stand with the feet together or just slightly apart, hip width apart, and just go back and forth. Because even we hold tension in the feet when we're sitting, say cross-legged, so just even, going back and forth through the feet, we can kind of wiggle the toes, just get the toes to relax, the feet to relax through the ankles, and bend the knees and straighten, and then maybe even get the arms in there, swinging just a little bit, just relaxing the shoulders, the knees, the back, and through the ankles. And then as we come to standing, just letting the arms swing, roll the shoulders a few times. I have the belt on my right shoulder, so I'm going to inhale and extend the arm up, bend the elbow, reach behind with the opposite hand, and you're either trying to reach the hand, or if you can't quite reach the hand, you're reaching for the belt, okay? So let's repeat that again. We'll inhale and stretch up. This time, first take your opposite hand, rotate that outer arm, and really lift up, stretch from the outer hip up, the outer waist up, as you keep lengthening upward, up through the pinky finger, the thumb, bend the elbow, and then we'll take the opposite arm out to the side, just let it swing back a few times, and then as we swing back, up the back, catching the top hand or your belt, okay? And as you pull with the bottom hand, lift with the top, really to help move your shoulder blades in, those back ribs in, and lift and open the chest. Lift from the base of the sternum up, broaden the collarbones to the outer shoulders, and as you lift up through that top elbow, okay, wrap the outer arm in a little bit, and try to roll the shoulder of that arm that's down back, okay? So it's also helping to lift and open the chest, lift it open through the front body, through the abdomen. You can feel the abdomen lifting up and moving back, that firmness through the legs. And just let the chin lift slightly to relax the front throat, and then let the chin come down. We'll release that bottom arm and then the top. And then we'll bring the belt to the opposite side. Okay. So we're stretching the arm up, take the opposite hand, help to wrap the outer arm in. We wrap the outer deltoid in, lifting up, feel that stretch. We lengthen upward, feel the muscle move into the bone, and then bend the elbow. We'll swing the arm a few times behind. And then we're swinging and seeing if we can sweep the hand up along the spine to catch, or you're holding the belt. So especially if you're working with any shoulder injuries, right, or just tightness in your shoulder, you can hold quite low down. Okay, so not straining your shoulder or anything. We're just really trying to open up through the front body, broaden through the abdomen, so we're not, we tend to sit bent over a lot of our day, so this is kind of counteracting. Keep the firmness though to the legs, the front hip bones lifting up. Feel almost as if the tailbone's coming under slightly. As you lengthen up through the top arm, see if you can roll the shoulder bone back on that lower arm. And then we can release. Shake out the arms, can bend the knees a little bit. I'm going to bring the belts down to the floor. And before we come down, because when we're sitting, we want to keep, that space in the lower abdomen, just as like when we're standing. We don't stand kind of like this, hunched over usually, really compressed in the abdomen. We have this lift from the lower abdomen up, really spacious. So, sitting in a chair, we can keep that same space. We don't want to be hunched over, and it will be the same when we come down to sit lower. Okay, so if I use these 3 blankets stacked, and I'll just show you so that when we do come to sitting, then when you come to sitting, you want to actually have that same space from the navel to the pubis, the navel up, as you would have when you're standing, because it tends to happen when we sit as we kind of shrink down. So I just kind of really think of that space, that moving in and up. And then just one time we'll reach the arms up, really lift and open. You can catch the elbows if you'd like. Feel that firmness of the legs, just a little bit of a bend to the side to open up to the side ribs. We come back, can change the hold of the elbows, and then over to the other side, and then back, and we'll release the arms down. Okay. As we come down to our mat, we're going to do a variation of Setu Bandha Sarvangasana first. You may want to bring a blanket. I'm going to open it up just a little bit so it's a bit softer behind your head. And you can either choose to use a bolster, which will be a bit softer, or blocks. I'm going to show with blocks. Okay, but if you don't have blocks, or you find the blocks too hard, you could use the bolster. So we'll come down onto our mat. I'm going to keep the blocks nearby, bringing the hands to the sides, coming down to the elbows, releasing down. We'll just stay here a few moments, letting the back of the skull release from the upper shoulders down to the lower back. That feeling of how open the chest was, open through the abdomen from our standing pose. And from here, we'll take one block, or you might be sliding the bolster under the hips, press through the feet, press through the upper arms, lift the hips and place one block under the sacrum. Okay. So you don't want it too high up, so I've kind of brought the block quite high up the back. You don't want it too high up the back, the tailbone hanging down. We want the tailbone, sacrum supported on the block or bolster. You could even use 2 or 3 stacked blankets. From here, feel that skin, the back armpit coming around to the front, and you can see, just as I tried to roll the shoulder bone back when we were doing the arms to Gomukhasana, we want that shoulder bone to roll back. So we're getting, again, that lift to the chest, the lift from the lower abdomen up, a bit of stretch and release in the abdomen, the diaphragm. And for many, you might feel that you could lift a little bit higher. So I'm going to press through the feet, through the upper arms again, lift the hips, bring the block, stacking the blocks, and let the sacrum rest again on now the 2 stacked blocks. And just pause for a few breaths. Let that breath move into the upper back, into the chest, and almost through the breath finding its way, its path, it can begin to allow you that space to roll the shoulders under further. So it's almost like you're really gently, slowly pumping up, like an inflatable bed mattress or something, that we kind of let the breath move into different areas, and we can feel the skin spread, kind of more open, spacious, kind of releasing any crinkles. If you feel 2 blocks is too high, go back to 1, or a bolster. If you feel it's too hard, a bolster with even a bolster blanket, or a few stacked blankets if that feels better for you. Really feel that notch at the base of the sternum, The diaphragm, it's attaching to the lower ribs. We want that to spread out through the sides. The lift from the base of the sternum up to the chest, to the chin, keeping the front throat soft. So you might even take your hands and just gently pull the skin from that upper chest away from the throat. It will allow that front throat to relax, and the chin can release in there more, and then let the arms release. Gently coil the back ribs in from the lowest ribs up. We press down lightly through the feet, through the shoulders to the arms. Feel that spread in the abdomen. Removing any hardness. It also helps to keep the sacrum moving in, those back ribs, kidneys moving in, and the shoulders rolling back. So it's almost like we're over exaggerating that puffing to the chest, so that when we come to sit, it will feel more spacious and relaxed. So for the next few breaths, really try to let the lungs expand into the rib cage. And for those that might like to try, you could even let the soles of the feet come together, the knees open out to the side into a version of Supta Baddha Konasana, Setubandha Baddha Konasana, kind of the bridge pose with the bound angle legs. Press the soles of the feet together. Really bring those outer hips in. Stay 4 or 5 more breaths. And then after the next exhalation, bring the outer legs back in. Plant the feet firmly on the floor, the upper arms pressing down. You need to re-engage the core muscles, so press through the feet, through the upper arms. Lift the hips just a few times up and down off the blocks. Remove the blocks or bolster, blankets, whatever you were using, and really slowly lower back down to the floor. Just extend the legs for a few breaths. And then we'll bend the knees, bring the right arm up by the right ear. You can roll to the right. Roll towards the floor, press to come up to sitting. And as we come up to sitting, just stay a few moments. And then take the height that you will need to sit. I'm going to I like the blanket underneath, that softness. Tonight I'm going to use a couple of stacked blankets. So I folded the blankets in half. If you need more, you can stack more, or you can always sit on blocks or bolster. But I actually want to use the bolster, so I'm sitting fairly close to the wall. And I know we've used the bolster behind before, but for right now, I want to actually bring the bolster behind lengthwise. So the sitting bones move back. We've got the bolster there to almost coil the back ribs, almost keep that puffing to the chest. We won't leave it there for the whole time, but just to start. Okay. So I've walked the sitting bones back quite far. As you lean forward, you kind of slide your bolster behind you, maybe up near the lower ribs to start. It will slide down a little bit, crossing at the center of the shins, tops of the feet. Sacrum forward. As we move back, we can really feel the shoulders roll back and even let the arms come up just to get those ribs moving in and lifting through the front body up. Right, we're keeping that space in the front body as we had done when I showed when we were standing. And then that bridge pose, I will really open up through the chest. Just stay a few moments if you can, the head going back to the wall. Then we can let the arms come down, rest on the thighs, and really press the back ribs into your bolster. Move the shoulders back. So there's that lift up of the shoulders moving back. For a few breaths, bring the chin down towards the chest. The tailbone lengthen down. The sitting bones descend down. The inner thighs and the front groin soften. And then you can slightly come forward, remove that bolster. Keep leaning forward just a little bit. Head, chest, abdomen, the top of the sacrum moving in. And then as you bring the shoulders back, we continue to keep that lift into the front body, the openness to the chest. The shoulders move back, the shoulder blades move in and down. Really heavy in the inner outer elbow. Scanning the body, and if you feel you need more height, then add a little bit more height. I've just added the bolster. I felt I could use a little bit more height this evening. From here, we will come to sit for 12 minutes. Last night we did 10 in a row. We'll go for 12 before I ring the bell, the singing bowl. We sit tall and stack the frame of the body. Let the face relax. Means the eyelids can close, the eyes release inward. The eardrums recede inward, the back of the tongue. Really almost feel the front face being absorbed into the back, the skull, the receding back. Quietness that the bridge pose brought where the front brain rested on the back brain. Continue that brain descending downward, and the mind descending down to the heart. As you settle in, you feel you need to make any slight adjustments, do so. You don't want to be sitting just counting the minutes till you're done. So readjust as you need. Remember, you can always lie down. You can always sit in a chair if that will feel better for knees, hips, or back. Begin to feel a steadiness, that lengthening, strengthening of the spine, and through the intercostal muscles between the ribs. We improve our posture, even the placement of the head, the skull, the neck. Maybe that last piece, that when we're aligned correctly, we just feel that ease. Feel the shoulder blades move in. The skin muscle of the upper back begins to release downward. The shoulders release. It almost feel as if the arms were attached at the neck, releasing down. the awareness to the heart. How fortunate we are, the heart beats without us having to think about it. Really, mostly throughout the day, we breathe without having to remember to inhale, remember to exhale. Where we almost kind of surrender to the heart, the head of the ego to the heart. Just feel a softening around the heart center. Just feel the breath circumnavigate around the heart. Softness to the heart. Bring maybe a sensation, gentleness, peaceful feeling. And a lightness, playfulness to the heart, releasing any heaviness. If you'd like, you can change the cross of the ankles. If you felt you were, gripping it all in the legs, almost holding them up to stay upright, it sometimes can help to bring a blanket around the outer shins to release the legs down into. So it's not to hike the knees up higher. It gives you something to release, relax the legs. You don't feel like you're gripping or holding in the groin and the back. The legs can relax down. You settle back in. You might find over the past few evenings it becomes easier to settle back into that rhythm of your breath. I hope you're really beginning to notice how your breath affects you, the mind, the body. Maybe we're moving away from that reactive, judging mind when we sit, become more reflective, like that witness to your own body, breath, and mind. And sitting, you may have felt the beginning, the breath had a sharpness or an evenness to it. Over the duration, it became more smooth, relaxed, and subtle. The witness mind is essential. It observes when your attention has wandered. Not to judge if the mind wanders, just bringing it back. Often at the beginning, it's just following the breath, the object of your meditation, to follow your breath. Now bring your awareness even down into the lower abdomen, from the heart, releasing the awareness down to the abdomen. It drops down, release through the hips, the lower back. You can allow the abdomen to gently expand away from the spine on the in-breath. Gently release back on the out-breath. Just repeating that abdominal breath a few rounds longer. So the inhalation, when the abdomen expands, it's as if every organ has that opportunity to release tension. You can almost envision it leaving its way out. Leaving its way out from around the organs. Kidneys, the adrenal glands that sit on the kidneys, relaxing, releasing in that area. And bring your awareness to the top of the mouth. If you breathe in, you might feel the breath, the top of the mouth cavity. It warms, that warmness in the top of the mouth as you exhale. And then we're breathing in and out through the nose. That sensation that comes around the mouth. From here, you're welcome to stay sitting longer. You're ready to come into Shavasana. And just slowly come off of that height. And you might want to keep the bolster behind the back of the legs. You can take another blanket around the feet, just to keep the feet, the legs warm, the body warm. So it does tend to cool down. We release onto the back, extending the legs over the bolster. You can cover yourself with another blanket or towel. Stretch out through to the heels, the legs release. You might need to move the flesh from the upper buttock away from the lower back. The shoulders release down. You can feel the shoulder blades move in. The palms remain open. Feel that openness through the throat. Softness, the tongue, the jaw, the eyes. Release around the feet and ankles, the backs of the knees, behind the kneecap. Exhale deeply into the abdomen and lower back. Around the hips. And as the spinal muscles settle into the floor, the back body spreading and releasing into the earth. We begin to feel that connection to the earth, how the earth supports and uplifts us. The air and space around us, connecting us to all sentient beings, near and far. Just through each breath. If we think of the good wishes, the compassion that can come from our heart, and let that radiate out and be carried with the breath. Also carried to those near or far away, compassion, contentment, just a sense of love, joy that we can share with those around us. Shavasana is that final relaxation pose. It also means a corpse pose, so it's dying to our old ways. Just let each breath rejuvenate, recuperate the cells, the body. Allow that heart's desire to come forward. Leave you here for this evening. Thank you again. Much gratitude for joining me. This practice that benefits not only ourselves, but those around us.